The weather forecast said it would be a light snowfall by midnight. We were trapped in the middle of nowhere. The highway had disappeared beneath 3 feet of snow. Our rental car refused to start, and the only place with electricity was a tiny family-owned lodge. Hidden deep in the Colorado mountains, the elderly owner apologized as he handed us a single room key. Storm damaged the upstairs. Only one room left, and only one bed. I sighed and looked at the woman standing beside me, Harper. Bennett, my biggest client. The woman who'd spent the last 6 months challenging every idea I pitched. She glanced at the key, then at me. Looks like we're roommates. Thought surviving the blizzard would be the hardest part of the weekend. I was wrong, because with every passing hour, she moved a little closer, and I couldn't tell if it was because of the cold or because she was hiding a secret she'd wanted to tell me for years. Asterisk. My name is Ethan Brooks, and I never mix work with feelings at 34. I owned a small architectural design firm in Denver. Most of my clients came and went, except Harper. She was different. As the founder of a successful interior design studio, she expected perfection from everyone around her, especially me. Every project meeting turned into a debate. Every debate somehow ended with both of us smiling. Neither of us admitted it. We were professionals, at least. That was the story we kept telling ourselves. We had been driving back from a luxury resort project inspection when the storm arrived hours earlier than expected. Snow covered the mountain road so quickly that visibility disappeared. Then the engine died. After hiking nearly a mile through freezing wind, we found a small wooden lodge tucked between towering pine trees. The owner, Mr. Dawson, welcomed us inside. I've got good news and bad news. Harper laughed nervously. Let's hear the good news. The fireplace works. Is it the bad news? He scratched the back of his neck. Only one room's available. He slid a brass key across the counter. One bed. The room was warm, cozy, and surprisingly beautiful. A stone fireplace crackled softly. Snow tapped against the large windows, and right in the middle, a single king-size bed. I rubbed the back of my neck. I'll sleep on the couch. Harper looked at the tiny love seat near the fireplace. Barely big enough for a Labrador. It had worse. She crossed her arms. Ethan, what? We're adults. I know. It's one night. I know. So stop acting like I'm contagious. I couldn't help laughing. You always win arguments, I know. An hour later, we ordered dinner from the lodge kitchen. The electricity flickered. Outside, the wind screamed through the trees. Inside, everything felt strangely peaceful. Harper looked around the room. You know what I've always wondered? What? Why you never dated anyone. I nearly dropped my fork. That's random, she shrugged. We've worked together for 6 months, and I know your coffee order black. No, you hate raisins. They're deceptive grapes. He laughed. But I don't know anything about your heart. I looked into the fire. My engagement ended 4 years ago. Her smile disappeared. I'm sorry, so am I. What happened? I hesitated. She said I loved work more than people. Harper stayed quiet. Maybe she was right. No. I looked at her. You answered awfully fast. 'Cause I've watched you for 6 months. She smiled softly. You notice everyone. Later that night, the temperature outside dropped below 0. The fireplace wasn't enough to heat the entire room. I spread extra blankets across the bed. Harper climbed in. First, I promise I don't kick. I snore. Will survive. To make things less awkward, I built a ridiculous wall of pillows between us. She stared at it for several seconds. Then she started laughing. What? You really think those pillows are going to stop either of us from rolling over? They're symbolic. They're adorable. I was hoping for practical. She pulled the blanket over herself. Good night. Ethan. Good night. Around 2 in the morning, a loud crack of thunder shook the lodge. I woke instantly. The fire had nearly gone out. The room felt much colder. Then I noticed something. The pillow wall had completely collapsed. One pillow rested on the floor. Another was halfway across the room, and Harper had unconsciously moved much closer, not touching me, just closer than before. I smiled to myself, probably because of the cold. I carefully pulled the blanket higher over her shoulder so she wouldn't wake up. Freezing a few minutes later, without opening her eyes, she whispered something so quietly I almost missed it. Thank you. Then, still asleep, she drifted another inch closer. Asterisk when morning arrived. Sunlight pushed through the frost-covered windows. For a moment, I forgot where I was. Then I realized Harper was still asleep. She had moved closer during the night. Not enough to touch me, just close enough that the distance between us no longer felt awkward. I quietly slipped out of bed, careful not to wake her, downstairs. Mr. Dawson handed me a mug of coffee. Storms. Getting worse? I thought it was. Supposed to clear? He shook his head. Weather changed overnight. The storm finally eased late the following afternoon. The snow outside still reached halfway up the lodge windows, but the wind had stopped howling. For the first time in almost 2 days, everything was quiet. Harper found me sitting on the front porch, watching sunlight reflect off the endless blanket of snow. She handed me a steaming cup of hot chocolate. You disappeared again, I was thinking. That's usually dangerous. I smiled. It usually is. She sat beside me, wrapping a blanket around her shoulders. For a while, we watched the mountains without saying a word. Then she quietly asked, "Do you know why I kept moving closer?" I looked at her. "I assumed you were cold," she smiled. I was a short pause, but that wasn't the only reason. I waited. She looked down at the cup in her hands. "My parents divorced when I was 12. I frowned. "I'm sorry after that." She took a slow breath. I hated storms. I looked at her. My dad used to travel for work. Whenever there was thunder, I'd wait by the window until he came home. And if he couldn't, I'd sleep beside my mom because I was terrified. The memory clearly still hurt. So now, she laughed softly. Whenever I'm scared, I move closer to the person I trust most. Her words hit me harder than I expected. "You trust me that much?" She nodded without hesitation. More than anyone. I didn't know what to say. No one had ever trusted me so completely. After a long silence, I finally admitted, I almost turned down this project. She looked surprised. "Why?" "Because working with you became complicated." She smiled knowingly. "Complicated how?" I laughed nervously. I couldn't decide whether I wanted to impress my client or the woman herself. Her cheeks turned pink. "You hit it well." I thought I did. "You didn't?" I blinked. "What?" She laughed. "Ethan, you've always brought me coffee exactly the way I liked it." I was being polite. "You remembered my birthday, everyone. Deserves birthdays. You noticed every time I skipped." "Lunch. I noticed things," she smiled. Exactly. Just then, Mr. Dawson stepped onto the porch. The highway crews finally cleared the road. Harper and I looked at each other. "So," she said quietly, "we're leaving." For some reason, neither of us sounded excited. The drive back to Denver was strangely quiet. Not uncomfortable, just heavy. Like we both knew something important had happened in that little mountain lodge. When I pulled up outside her apartment building, she reached for the door handle, then stopped. "Ethan." "Yeah. If nothing had happened this weekend, would you still have called me Monday morning?" I smiled. "Probably about work." I shook my head. "No." She looked hopeful. "What would you have said?" I took a deep breath. I would have asked if you'd have dinner with me. She smiled so brightly it made the entire snowy afternoon seem warmer. I would have said yes. 3 months later, we finished the luxury resort project together. The client loved it. Our company celebrated with a rooftop dinner overlooking downtown Denver. Near the end of the evening, Grant, our biggest investor, walked over. "I've got one question." Harper laughed. "Here we go." He looked at me. "So, did you two finally stop pretending you're only coworkers?" I nearly choked on my drink. Harper burst into laughter. "Were we really that obvious?" Grant smiled. "The entire office had a betting pool." "You had a betting pool?" "Accounting one." I shook my head. "I can't believe this." "Oh, it gets better." He reached into his pocket and pulled out an envelope. Inside was a gift certificate. The same mountain lodge. Mr. Dawson had written a short note across the front. "This time, I made sure you booked one room on purpose." Harper covered her face, laughing. "I can't believe you remembered us." "I can." That winter, we returned. The lodge looked exactly the same. The same fireplace. The same wooden walls. The same snow-covered mountains. Even the same room. When we walked inside, Harper smiled at the king-size bed. "No pillow wall this time." I laughed. "I think we've outgrown it." "I think so too." Outside, snowflakes drifted quietly through the evening sky. Inside, the room felt warmer than I remembered. Maybe it wasn't because of the fire. Maybe it was because home isn't always a place. Sometimes, it's the person you find yourself moving closer to, little by little, till one day, you realize there's nowhere else you'd rather be. Looking back, I always thought that storm had trapped us together. The truth was, it set us free. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. See you in the next story.